Hello traders, today is the 31st of January. My name is Neville Hornsey, market and street trading. And today I'll be taking a look at the week ahead. Okay, before we get into the economic calendar, let's start with the YouTrading.com for its heat map. And we can see that today, London session, Australian dollar is the strongest. And we're seeing moves into the New Zealand dollar too, and the Canadian dollar as well. And we're seeing moves out of the yen and the Swiss franc. So for me, London started more risk on. So we should see equities and risk assets and commodities go higher today. If we go to the economic calendar, for me, the focus this week is Friday, February the 4th. It's the first Friday of the month, and we're going to have non-farm payrolls, the US average hourly earnings, and the unemployment rate. So these three key data points, I think, is what the market will be focused on. But if I was to show you like the whole calendar, you'll see that there's like many bank rate hike, potential meetings happening this week, and we'll just go through each one of these individually. So China is on holiday today. If we go to the CNY, every day this week they're on bank holiday. Today is their New Year's Eve, and then the rest of the week will be them celebrating their new year. The Hang Seng, I believe, is closed fully for 3 days now. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So we're going to get very little out of China. If we go to the US dollar again, Monday, we've got Chicago PMI and an FOMC member speaking. If we go to the Active Trader platform, look to the left, we've got 71% of traders on this platform looking to go long the dollar index. And you can see like last week was an amazing sort of week, really, sort of similar to the one we had 12th of June. That week when the FOMC got more hawkish. So last week we had another similar sort of week, and we took out the swing high from November, and we're looking to sort of see if we can trade above the highs here from June 2020, get into the $98, and then sort of backfill this volume void here up to 98.90 or maybe even 99. So that's where I think we're going currently, obviously, because of this, crazy week last week where the dollar just appreciated from all the way down from 95.60 up to this 97.50. We could come back down, test the wick from the previous week to that, and test the 95.80s, just to sort of fill that void in. Otherwise, it's just going to go up to this sort of level here around the $99. ISM manufacturing PMI and JOLTS job openings on Tuesday. So 2:30 is when the regular trading hours start. So, if you wait for the first hour to finish and sort of see that opening range, then Tuesday you'll be able to trade that. Then Wednesday, we've got OPEC meetings. So again, every country will be affected by OPEC's decision on whether or not they're going to increase their production in a release into the markets. But we also have non-farm payroll from ADP, and then the crude oil inventories. So Wednesday is going to be a busy day. I'd imagine there'll be some movement, but then, like I said, if the focus is on Friday, anything that happens on Wednesday might get sort of tapered back into the range. Same on Thursday, got ISM services PMI due to come in weaker than previous. So, that US dollar could be backtracking, if you like, down towards the 95.80s by then. And then if we get a good non-farm payroll this Friday, then we can see the US dollar rising again. If we look at the Australian, because they are currently the strongest at the moment, nothing really happening today. Tuesday, tomorrow, 1st of February, we've got the RBA rate statement and their cash rate decision. Currently, the forecast is for them to come in as they previously were, but obviously if there's more of a hawkish stance, especially on Wednesday when RBA Governor Lowe speaks, we could see the Australian dollar continue to appreciate, especially if they sort of signal that they're going to be raising their rates come March in line with the Fed. We'll hear from them again on Friday. The RBA monetary policy statement, it will give us more of an idea of what they're going to do with their asset purchases and things like that. Looking at the Australian dollar, 72% of traders on this platform are looking to go long. It is in a descending channel. I do believe we will pop out of that channel to the sort of upside at some point, but I'm looking to see if we can take out the liquidity at 0.7 first and maybe come down to test this swing low here around 0.67. There is a volume sort of void here, so we could come down to 0.66 before we go higher. So I think this is going to correct over time rather than a sharp price reduction first and then eventually pop out to the upside. Looking at the calendar for New Zealand dollar and Canadian dollar, obviously Tuesday we've got Canadian GDP, so that'll be well, it looks like they're forecasting for a weaker GDP month on month. Obviously, there's protests going on in Ottawa, the capital city at the moment. Was waiting to see if the amount of disruption affects the Canadian dollar in the future. But for now, we're looking to sort of see their current policies, see how well or how badly they're affecting GDP. Again, Wednesday, we've got OPEC meetings. That's probably going to be the biggest mover for the Canadian dollar. And we've also got the Bank of Canada, Governor Macklem speaking later on, just towards the end of the regular trading hours. So, I think if OPEC make a decision which affects, the increase, then we could potentially see the Canadian dollar come down. Friday, the Canadian employment and unemployment rate does move the USDCAD, especially if the NFP comes out, in opposite directions to the Canadian. So we could see a big move in the dollar CAD on Friday as well. So quite a choppy week for the dollar CAD probably. It does move 200 to 300 pips at a time, so on this type of news. So you have to be very careful of that. Currently, the dollar CAD is rising in an uptrend. It's in this channel. I do believe it will break to the downside, but there is a case that if the dollar itself goes up and OPEC release more oil into the markets, we could get oversupply. We could see the dollar CAD come up to the 1.32. Eventually, because this is rising, I am expecting some sort of pullback down to test these sort of swing lows. If we do get, maybe something that is kind of hawkish for oil, Canadian dollar would do really well, and then we start taking out these swing lows here a bit earlier than maybe I sort of giving credit for. There's a 200 period moving average on this weekly chart up here at 1.28, but at the moment, just because of the strength in the dollar, I'm expecting maybe to see another push up before the big drop. Looking at the calendar for the euro and the pound, not a lot really happening Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday in these couple of assets, really. It all starts to kick off on Thursday when the Bank of England come in and give us their monetary statement, whether or not they're going to add to their asset purchases, whether or not they're going to raise rates. The expectations are that we get another 25 basis point rate hike on Thursday. Obviously, they have been known to disappoint the market. So if they don't do that, then it may be that the pound comes down. And then if you look to the euro, later on that day, we've got their monetary policy statement, the press conference by the ECB President Lagarde, and we'll learn about whether or not they think they're going to be able to ever raise this refinancing rate from zero. Obviously, if we do get the rate hike on Thursday from the Bank of England, that's going to push the pound up and the euro lower. So you probably see euro versus the pound come lower. But yeah, the sort of big worry, if you like, for pound traders is that they don't actually get this rate hike. And we don't see a change in the votes as expected. So that's what I'm thinking. Thursday, probably best to wait until all of this has been talked about. So, come the US session, maybe look to trade the euro and the pound because there's going to be quite quiet in the run up to all of this. Then on Friday, we've got MPC member Broadbent speaking for the pound, possibly some Spanish unemployment change. Quite a quiet day after this sort of volatility on Thursday. But because it's an MPC member, there could be a change just before the US session starts. Looking at the euro versus US dollar, we had this incredibly large candle down into this sort of volume void here. We didn't quite get into the middle of it, so there's still room down to the 1.1 for us to test. Obviously, because we just dropped from the 1.13, didn't really look back. there is a chance that we sort of fill that candle in up until this wick here to 1.129. So we could get that versus on the euro versus the US dollar. That would, expect the US dollar to come down and also test this wick here. So, obviously depends on what actually happens in the news. And a lot of the US dollar stuff might not happen until Friday. Anyway, now looking at the pound versus US dollar, we are in this downtrend. We're sort of in this larger sort of channel to the downside. We have found weekly support at the 1.339 and the 200 period moving average. We have got this probably, this move where we could fill in up until we get into the 20 and the 50 EMAs here, which will be the low of this week from mid-January. 1.35 probably be resistance. And depending on whether or not we get that rate hike is whether or not we get up above this swing high from the beginning of January. If we do, then 1.38, and then all of these swing highs here become targets all the way up to 1.426. And, we could get that fulfilled in before the Fed come and do their rate hike cycle. So, we just have to see what the Bank of England governor says. So as you can see, the actual week is a busy week this week. You have to look each day, make sure you're aware of which data points are going to affect the currency pairs that you want to trade. And then just make sure that you're hedged or closed out before something, especially a central bank rate decision, they could disappoint, especially the Bank of England, the most unreliable sort of forward guidance ever. And then just be aware that come Friday, US non-farm payrolls is that sort of data point release is probably the focus for the actual week, and anything that happens before that might be reversed come Friday. Okay, good luck to this week, and I'll speak to you again later.